Welcome back to another amazing video from Total Recaps. And today I'm going to recap a psychological thriller movie from 2015 titled The Boy Next Door. It's a forbidden love story between a literature teacher and a 19-year-old charismatic boy who moves next door. Spoiler ahead, so watch out and get ready. Claire Peterson, a high school teacher, starts her morning with a jog. However, her mind is filled with a fight she had with her husband, Garrett, last night. She found that her husband was having an affair with his secretary and felt completely devastated by the truth. Her friend, also the vice president, Vicky, encourages Claire to file a divorce, but Claire still has second thoughts. She tells her friend that she and her cheating husband will be having dinner for her son, Kevin's birthday. Vicky disagrees with Claire's idea, but Claire doesn't listen to her friend's warning and instead protects her cheating husband from her friend. Later that night, the three of them have dinner to celebrate Kevin's birthday. Garrett gave Kevin a computer as a birthday present, and Kevin was ecstatic about it. Garrett also invited Kevin to go camping together for spending time as a father and son. When Claire and Garrett had some alone time, Garrett tells Claire that he's going to San Francisco. Claire knows that the secretary will follow Garrett to the trip and can't hide her disappointment. Claire walks away and cried in the bathroom, thinking about her helplessness in the matter. The next morning, Claire and Kevin are about to leave. When Claire opens the garage door, it gets jammed. Claire tells Kevin to put the cord as she will try to lift the door, but suddenly a stranger holds the door with her and helps lifting it. Mr. Sanborn, her neighbor, tells Claire that the man is Noah, his nephew. Noah suggests helping Claire by fixing her garage door. Kevin and Noah go to the hardware store. While walking, Kevin asks Noah his age and he told him that he's almost 20. Noah also discloses that he's staying in his uncle's house to help him until he will have his bone marrow transplant. Kevin also learns that Noah will continue his studies at Monroe High, the same high school as Kevin. Kevin tells Noah that his mother is teaching there as well. When they're about to pay, Kevin sees Allie, a famous girl from Kevin's school. Kevin is shy to face her, but Noah pushes him, so he goes to the cashier. Noah introduces himself and goes away to let Kevin and Allie talk. A group of guys who went to the same school with Kevin and always bullies him once again bullied Kevin in front of Allie and Noah. After fixing the door, Claire offered a drink to Noah and he tells her about what happened earlier at the store. Claire told him that Kevin had an incident years ago on the playground that made Kevin the laugh at the school. Claire explains that Kevin was stung by a bee once and his throat swelled up. He panicked and lost control. Kevin tries to forget the past, however, the story lived through the minds of the kids in the high school. The next morning, Claire sees with her son fixing their car with Noah. She's pleased that Noah and Kevin are getting along fine and that Kevin has a friend. As she was watching the boys have fun, she also takes a glimpse of Noah's body. Afterwards, Noah, Kevin, Claire, and Vicky have a meal together. Noah, during the conversation, tells them that he's interested in literature, and because of that, he catches Claire's interest because she also teaches literature. Vicky, however, finds the whole ordeal suspicious, as it's rare for a guy to like literature but also not show off any of his knowledge about literature. When Kevin goes out with his father, Noah pays Claire's house a visit too. He gives Claire a book that they discussed earlier that morning. Noah sees a shoe that was given to Claire and he compliments her shoes and looks in an intimate way. Later, when Claire was putting the shoe on and she saw Noah naked in his room through the window, she tried to hide, but Noah saw her looking at his room. Vicky sets Claire on a date to get over Garrett, but it doesn't go well. One thing leads to another, and instead of a romantic time, they end up insulting each other. Claire walks out and goes home. At home, she opens a bottle of wine, and as she thinks about the cookies, suddenly Noah calls her for help. He just defrosted a chicken and doesn't know how to cook. Claire goes next door to Noah in heavy rain. They're alone together and they chatted. Suddenly, Noah starts to compliment Claire's beauty. He calls her beautiful, natural, and sexy. Claire gets up and takes her coat to leave. Noah stops her from leaving and starts kissing her passionately. Claire tries to resist at first, but soon gives in to the temptation. The same night, Noah and Claire spend some romantic time together. Claire wakes up worried about everything that happened last night, and she hurriedly finds her clothes. Noah gets her some breakfast and offers a coffee, but Claire feels guilty of what happened. Noah gets furious, learning that Claire didn't feel the same about the night like he did, and he punched the wall, causing his fist to bleed. While taking care of the wound, Claire tells Noah what happened to them was nothing more than a moment of lust. Claire comes home and Kevin invites Garrett for lunch. Claire is anxious and nervous after what she had done and feels guilty, especially after she sees Noah around Garrett's. Kevin introduces Noah when he comes to their house to his father, and Garrett is pleased to meet him. As Noah and Garrett talk, Claire cannot hide her distress. Claire and Garrett walked outside to throw the garbage when Garrett explains his intention to fix their relationship. There's no denying that both wanted to fix their marriage. Garrett begs Claire not to sign the divorce paper, and they look into each other's eyes so intimately. However, unknowingly, Noah was watching them. In the middle of Claire's class, the principal of their school appeared, with Noah telling them that he accepted Claire's request. Claire was confused when the principal shows her the email that she has sent from her account. Claire asks Kevin if he sent the email, but he refuses, saying it wasn't him. Then it occurs to Claire that Noah did it himself. Kevin tries to invite Noah for the dinner, which Claire strictly opposes to. Later, Kevin and Noah goes shooting using Mr. Sanborn's gun. To put trouble into their relationship, Noah reminds Kevin how his father breaks his mother's heart and how dumb he is for leaving them for 9 months. Noah continues telling Kevin bad things about his father to build up Kevin's anger towards his father, causing them to have a fight during the dinner. During boxing class, Noah again keeps telling words that fuel up Kevin's anger to his father, which causes his illness to trigger. Noah panics, but he ends up saving Kevin buying his medicine. Vicky hands Claire a beautiful flower with a card saying, "Please give me another chance." Happy and overwhelmed, Claire immediately calls Garrett with a smile on her face. As she calls, she realizes that the flowers did not come from him, so she went straight to the gym where she saw Noah. Claire tells Noah that he should stop what he's doing and giving a teacher flowers. When the argument heats up, a man sees the two of them and checks up on Claire by asking him if everything is fine. As the man leaves, Noah makes a deal with Claire that they will just start over as teacher and student. Kevin goes back to the hardware store to buy some things and ends up inviting Allie to go on a date in the Fall Flame. Allie was hesitant, but when she saw Noah standing behind, she accepts Kevin's invitation. That night, Claire and Garrett have a good night, and when they get inside, they kissed, but Claire was not ready for anything more. After seeing Garrett stay the night over, he felt a wave of extreme anger. The next morning, Noah, filled with anger, steps outside of Claire's house and tells her that she's a liar after telling him that she's divorcing Garrett. Kevin appears asking what has happened, and Claire told him to stay away from Noah. Instead of understanding, Kevin rebelled against his mother and left with Noah. Kevin is in his locker when the guys who bullied him showed up again. Suddenly, Noah emerged and knocked the guy out of his consciousness. Vicky, the vice principal, tried to stop the fight, but Noah throws her away. Later, Noah gets called to the vice principal's office telling him how disturbing his behavior, but Noah replies with more hurtful words and walks out. Kevin gets ready for the fling fall, and Claire is so proud of him. She gives him a rose for Allie. When they arrive at the venue, they saw Allie, and Allie told Claire that there is water running from the guy's bathroom. Claire goes to the bathroom only to find a graffiti on the wall that talks about Claire and Noah's nights. Noah then appears and threatens her, but she tells him that she's not threatened. She also tells Noah to stay away from her and her son. As Claire is sleeping that night, she felt uneasy when she heard voices, so she got up and looked out her window. It's Noah and Allie inside Noah's room doing the deed. When Claire arrived at school, her students were waiting for her outside her room, but when she opened the door, a lot of the photos of her and Noah together flooded the floor. Claire panicked and she started cleaning up the whole room alone. The principal of the school is concerned with what's happening around Claire, and as he reminds that her behavior is unacceptable. Garrett is waiting outside Kevin's school, and he gives the key to Kevin to drive. Kevin was controlled with anger, so he drives the car too fast, causing the brakes to fail. As Kevin tells his father that the brake is not working, Garrett instructed him to press the emergency brake and they crashed. They're not harmed and safely return home. Claire sees the damage in Garrett's car and she goes inside to check on Kevin and ask what happened to the car. Garrett lied about what had happened, but Claire realizes that something must have happened. Noah showed up in the house and goes to the kitchen to threaten Claire, telling her that everything they did that night was filmed. He tells Claire to show up in his room at 2 a.m. Claire showed up that night, but Noah didn't give the video to her. Instead, he tells her that they could be together, and all they had to do was run away. Claire was disgusted by the crazy behavior and idea, and soon she leaves. Claire shows the picture to Vicky and tells her everything. They make a plan to make Vicky's drive Claire's car and Noah follow it, and on the other hand, Claire can search Noah's place to find the video. Claire succeeds in finding the cameras, and by tracing the wire, she finds a secret basement, and when Claire opens the basement door, it reveals a creepy secret. Claire sees her face all over the wall posted. She quickly deletes all her photos and video from his laptop, and she discovered that everything that Noah did was planned. Claire visits the place where Noah's father's damaged car was, and she realizes that he tampered with his father's car that caused the incident. Claire successfully deleted the video, but Noah shows up at Vicky's place and hit Vicky in the head, making her unconscious. Noah called Claire using Vicky's phone with her recorded voice. Noah tells her to come over, and so she does. When Claire arrived, everything was dark, and Claire was shocked and surprised to discover Vicky's dead body. She runs to her car, and when she's about to call for help, Noah dragged her inside. There she sees Garrett and Kevin both tied up. Noah tells her that they were destined together and they were meant to be. Claire manages to find a rod and she hits Noah in the face. Noah was still perfectly fine and forces Claire to give in. Noah spills gas everywhere, telling them that he's making a funeral pyre and he lit the whole place with fire. However, Garrett manages to free himself and attacks Noah, but unexpectedly, Noah has a gun in him and shoots Garrett in the chest. Noah tells Claire that she can trust him, but Claire uses the syringe of her son and strikes into Noah's right eye. Noah points the gun he's holding to Claire, but Claire, with all her strengths, manages to fight back by poking her finger to Noah's injured eyes. Kevin also manages to free himself, and he hit Noah from the back. Noah still manages to stand up and smacks Kevin. He picks up the gun and points it to Kevin, ready to pull the trigger, saying that he's a hero, and a hero have to make tough choices. Claire calls him a coward, and saying he's no hero, she pulls a machine lever that drops the heavy metal directly on top of Noah, killing him instantly. Soon, the cops arrive. Garrett is safely taken by an ambulance with Claire and Kevin. We hope you've enjoyed our video from today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to receive notifications from new and interesting videos. Thank you for watching and see you next time.